The chair recognizes the gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. Walker, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Strzok, you have mentioned, I think to my count, over 30 times about your personal beliefs when it comes to your text, and that was just your opinion. One of the texts you said, "We will stop it," referencing the Trump campaign. Mr. Strzok, that's not a personal belief text. That's a plan of action. Who's the we in that text?
Sir, I disagree. That's not a plan of action. The we, as I have stated, and the reason I'm stating it so many times is I've been asked at least twice as many times. The reason I said that, I don't recall that text. When I look at the context of it, in the middle of the night, I can tell you I am certain it is not a suggestion that me or the FBI take any action, or that I can also, sir, assure you.
If I could reclaim my time, you answer the question that you don't recall it. But
under oath, there was no plan of action.
Yes, well, my 8th grade teacher, English teacher, Mrs. Painter, used to teach me that stop was an action verb, so I believe it certainly sounds that. Let me get away from just the content of the text, as despicable as they were. Let's talk about the volume of text, if we could, please. 50,000 texts over this time frame. Is that the number that you understand?
That is a number I've heard from the agency.
Several hundred pages, 10 to 12, 400 pages, 10 to 12, about 50,000 texts, which is amazing. I'm hoping you at the agency at least had the unlimited data plan, since it was a taxpayer's phone, because of the great amount of volume. And you even testified today under oath there's many more on your personal phone, which blows me away. Sometimes over 100 texts a day while you're supposed to be doing your job. In fact, on Friday, June the 10th, 2016, there were 73 exchanged texts. This is the same day that the FBI finally made a deal for Clinton's attorneys and laptops. Did you leave your desk to send these 73 plus texts on that single day?
I do not recall where I was when I sent those texts.
Well, I'm sure that you were spending a good bit of time during the day.
If you look at those texts, the huge majority of them are in fact related to work minutia and administrative things.
Well, there may be a lot, but there's a whole lot more. Plus, I don't get to text with my friends and family sometimes till we finish our work in the day. Obviously, you had enough time during the day, being the second lead investigator, that you're supposed to be doing your work, but here we find a lot of time, 50,000 texts.
Sir, of which the bulk of the work, of which the bulk.
James Comey has talked about how the mid-year investigative team was the A-team, spending every waking moment to complete the investigation. How does this statement square with the amount of time you seem to spend texting Lisa Page on working days?
Sir, the majority of those texts, the grand majority, were work-related matters. Of the many, many things I've been accused of, some of which are true and horrible, one of them is not being lazy. So I can assure you that those texts and what they represent is work, and work that was going on frequently from 5 o'clock in the morning until 11 o'clock at night. So I would encourage you, sir, if you want to read through the 50,000 and have somebody catalog what
that's
kind of
astronomically high. You're talking 600 to 700 per week, so don't give me that this was all work-related text unless you have the world's fastest thumbs. The other point I want to make here is that this is an integrity issue. And that's part of the problem here. We talked about the text, and no, you're right. They weren't all on official time, like making fun of the Trump people at the Walmart. You're right. Some of those were in your spare time. But I believe there is a credibility issue, and that's probably one of the reasons that Mr. Mueller decided to take you off this particular case. I believe you cannot sit there and tell us, as you testified earlier today, you didn't know for sure why he did, but I believe it's pretty obvious to the American people that you have so discredited the FBI that you were removed from this case.
I am here under oath. I am not lying. I have never lied under oath, and I never will. And so the insinuation, not even the insinuation, the direct comment that you somehow say you have an integrity issue is insulting. I take offense. It is incorrect. Nothing I have
never
said here
mentioned
today.
Your personal life. I just simply said the amount of time that you were spending on the taxpayer's dollar, wasting it when you were supposed to be doing your job, texting back and forth to the court, is a problem.
And sir, what I'm saying is,
and the gentleman has already answered that question. So now the gentleman from Maryland.